We'll be back from the break. You're still watching Smart Means Business. It's exactly 4 minutes that has passed 8 a.m. and it's a Friday. It's the 16th of October. Just a few days, actually 2 days left for us to get into the independence celebrations, the 61st independence celebration. And that is for the country Uganda. But of course, Smart Means Business is here. And we're here to bring you those really updated facts in relation to business, which is key when it comes to decision making out there. But of course, still the big factor here. I'd love to remind you that all these conversations on the show are proudly brought to you by Zab, which is a platform from Altex, and this just made your trading experience much more easy and friendly. And that is Zab here for you now. Standard 92 hash is simply the USSD code that will avail you with options where you can be in position to actually buy government bond securities for a fee of just 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Now at 8:15 a.m. the markets are going to be opening and they're going to be expected to run up to 3:15 p.m. That is East African time, and this is something effective Monday up to Friday, apart from the weekends on the public holidays when these markets cannot be accessible. But of course, that's not the big deal. At least you have the rest of the days to capitalize and make money, something which I believe it's quite key and important when it comes to your financial growth and development. And it tells you it's my money, it's my future. And Altex East Africa comes out on board. It tells you that you need to do something new for yourself. Remember, it is 2023. Well, it's the inspiration moment time. Remember, I'm Anju Barija here with Godwin, as we're going to be driving you through all the way. But of course, before we proceed into our topic of discussion today, something to do with the youth unemployment. Of course, a report that we saw yesterday that it doubled. And now, well, when we return from this inspiration moment, we shall definitely continue. For now, let's get inspired. Yes, of course, hard work pays if you're patient enough to see it come through. Godwin, you see, I see a scenario. There are situations, a confusing aspect here. Sometimes maybe there is being delayed to achieve something because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. But also there is delay happening when it's about you being patient. Now, somebody may want to know now, how do I know that I'm just being lazy or I just need to be patient? Because sometimes we get aggressive where we have to be patient.
I mean, honestly, it's a very tough conversation, especially we're talking about the youth unemployment rate, right? Exactly. And the idea that people are looking for work and it just doesn't seem to pan out. They have all these qualifications. You've talked about how do I know that I'm not, I think it's just do your best. Do your best. And let have. There's that statement, let go and let God.
Let go and let God.
So if you just do your best and just let God do the rest, I think that's where you're able to give yourself that kind of peace, that mental tranquility that you need. Because if you're chasing after something, there's nothing you can control. We've seen with the climate change that's happening around the world, with this flooding that's happening, with earthquakes that are happening. Do you think those guys control that? They had no control of anything. I think the world reminds you very quickly that you have zero control of anything, right? So it's letting go and let God is the best thing. So of course we are continuing the conversation, of course, on youth unemployment and why it's such at a staggering high, especially here in Uganda.
Because we had a report yesterday where actually the youth unemployment really largely doubled. But of course, I also want us to bring in that aspect, but later, Rain, about, okay, the youth unemployed, but are they employable? That's also, I feel it's one of the icebreakers aspects. But anyway, I can see according to the report here, Uganda has a very young population with over half of the population under the age of 18, a big percentage, of course. And now this means that there is a large number of young people entering into the labor market every other day. Now, it's very amazing, actually, the report attributes to the factors that are leading to the unemployment, the insufficient job creation.
And it's interesting, this report also says that half of the population is under 18.
Yeah.
So we're having a lot more youths coming in. And we also have the issue, and it's not just about are they employable, right? Right now, especially with the advent, we talk about AI systems all the time here. We talk about IT, ICT, we talk about science technology. I've been at the Oma showgrounds all week, and I'm very inspired, right, by the idea of so many young people. I saw many people displaying their bracelets that they do from home, people that are doing products, sharing products, beverages they do from their households. So this has forced a lot of the youth to diversify their portfolio, to really expand their creativity, to be able to see how can I start to expand and think outside the box. Because listen, these jobs are asking for 10 years experience, which you do not have.
Exactly.
You're only 21, you're 23, you're out of campus. You have no experience at all. And the jobs are saying you need 5 years experience in sales, 10 years experience in management, 10 years experience in logistics, and you do not have it. So you end up finding people having to lie on their CVs, or they have to embellish the truth a little bit before they go into these job spaces. They have to lie about a skill they don't have, which is horrible. So we're finding a lot of people are thinking outside. This is very dangerous, right? Because what's happening now is we're seeing a high increase in crime.
Crime, definitely.
Amongst the youth.
Let me tell you
because people
something.
don't have work.
Let me tell you something. I was coming from home, and I was in the car, and in front there was a lady driving. I saw these young boys running. I thought they were racing besides the car. One grabbed the phone in front of my eyes. I'm like,
that is
unemployment.
Crazy.
It was crazy in broad daylight, and it was, and there were people around there, and people don't even care.
No, they don't. People could care less because everyone is concerned about their own issues, right? So we're finding there's an increase in crime. I know personally being robbed, people attacking houses. It's crazy. People are going into homes and robbing businesses. That's why everything has become almost like transaction, almost cashless, right? We talk about the cashless economy.
The cashless,
because one of the reasons why we're becoming cashless is also to curb crime.
By
having cash on you, having cash in your wallet, cash in your home. You rather have it on your phone, or rather have it online, or rather have access to it by email, because you do not want to be able to be subject to this kind of crime. So we're finding this high rate of unemployment, and you're saying yes, youth could be unemployable, but also the demands by employers as well are also incredibly difficult for people, right? So also the courses right now are not as marketable anymore. People used to do like social work, all these things. All these things are not as marketable anymore, right? So we're also figuring out, in terms of being employable, what are some of the skills that the youth right now should focus on, especially with the AI systems? We're in an economy now, after going to Uma Showgrounds, I'm inspired. We're in an economy now where we have to think outside the box. You can't rely solely on what you studied in school. It's funny how we used to laugh at people that are doing vocational studies in school.
I remember.
We used to people that are doing shop work, right? And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's silly. People used to laugh at farming work. But I have lots of friends now who have retired to the village who are doing farming work at our young age. So I have young farmer friends. So this kind of jobs are becoming more lucrative. So we're finding the jobs that weren't as marketed. Also, our education system could also play a role. The jobs that are forcing us to marketed to us. You have to be a doctor, you have to be an engineer, you have to be all the top 4 jobs.
The traditional
jobs that were pushed on, especially in a Uganda-based economy where we're fully focused. You name pushes on you. You cannot repeat a class when you're in Uganda. You cannot fail a class when you're in Uganda. You're looked at as a failure. But then you go to campus and you find people who are taking retakes, people who had dead years, are now doing really, really well financially, because it shows you the world isn't round. So what does that mean for our education system? What can we change in schools? Can we start to apply more vocational jobs in school. Like in the US, they have those options. They have electives where they do shop class, where they train them how to what? Do furniture, put stuff together. If you notice a lot of programs about a lot of these families know how to paint their own houses.
I have seen it quite often actually.
They just buy the supplies, you buy the paint, you buy the equipment, you have this gun, whatever, and you
start to paint.
Yeah, exactly. Those fixer guns, and you're able to paint the house your own self.
Yeah.
Here, you have to hire a painter. You have to hire this. So all these extra skills are not being taught in schools. We're focusing on singing the national anthem properly, understanding who killed Walumbe and Sarah. But we need to be able to understand. we also need to be able to expand on our education system. We can't limit ourselves to things that are just chop and chop, because the world has changed.
All right, very interesting in here. And of course, you mentioned something about the skills. There is a point here about the mismatch of skills and the jobs. Many young people in Uganda do not have actually the skills and the training that is required by their employers. And this is due to a number of factors, which is relating it to the quality of education, like Godwin has been mentioning. But also we see the aspect of gender inequality, as young women are particularly disadvantaged in the Ugandan labor market. You know, as they are more likely to be unemployed than men, and they are also likely to be employed in low-paying or informal jobs. You know, so that kind of kills their self-esteem, and they can't really settle for them. Now, of course, we can take a look at the extent at which youth unemployment is a problem in Uganda. As of 2023, my statistics here show me that youth unemployment rate is now at 26.3%. If you're to take a look at that, and the national average unemployment rate is at 11.2%. Now, we also see that the percentage of young people who are unemployed or underemployed is 64.3%. That is quite big. And the percentage of the young women still who are unemployed is 32.1%. You see that? And the percentage of the young men who are unemployed is 20.8%. So you can take a look at all those figures, quite big. Now, the youth unemployment rate in Uganda is estimated to be at 26.3%. That is as of 2023. And according to the World Bank, this means that over 1 in 4 young people in Uganda are unable to find a job.
That's incredibly staggering numbers, right?
Yeah.
Because we're also seeing, of course, the Ugandan government is taking steps to address the problem of youth unemployment. For example, the government is investing in education and training to ensure that young people have the skills that employers are looking for. The government is also creating jobs through public works programs and other initiatives. However, more needs to be done to address the problem of youth unemployment in Uganda. I agree, right?
Yeah.
The private sector needs to play a greater role in creating jobs for young people. The government also needs to improve the business environment to make it easier for business to create jobs, especially after coming from the Uma. If you have the time, I would encourage all of you to go to the trade fair at Uma Showgrounds. It's going to inspire you. How many young youth are literally being forced to think outside of the box, right? And also what the government is creating space, as we talked about here, for business, for people to be able to create jobs, because it's those business owners that create jobs. It's those startup companies that start to create jobs. So when we have a job creation mentality, we are the people that end up creating jobs for other people to be able to solve that problem. But if everyone is in school solely to find a job and not solely to be able to think, how can I become an entrepreneur? How can I be an investor? How can I start my own business? How can I be entrepreneurial?
Exactly.
If we're solely going to school just to be able to, like, I want to get a job, I want to be hired by the World Bank, I want to be hired by the UN. If we're only going into the workspace thinking like that, then the economy is at risk. But if we're able to expand and focus on how can we start to create job creators in school. That's why looking back, I'm thinking, wow, this thing that should have been focused on is financial management. We should have focused on farming, the importance of farming. Vocational studies, being able to paint your own house, being able to create a chair, a table on your own. These extra skills, being able to know. I have an auntie now, she was a statistician, one of the top educated people from Gayaza. One of the most educated people, very highly intelligent. Right now she's crocheting. She does crocheting. So she does her crochet bags and sells them at least a minimum 10,000 a bag, right? And sells them off.
They're quite expensive.
But you're thinking, with all the education that she had,
she's doing that
now in her later 50s, where she's thinking, okay, let me start doing business. Let me start to crochet. This is making me extra income. But that should have been a conversation she's been having, because she had the skill already to crochet. But it wasn't highlighted. It was looked down on almost, because like, you're so intelligent. Why are you crocheting? You're so intelligent. Why are you doing all this? These are skills that she should have been highlighting from whilst she was younger, and then doing that on the side. So that kind of mindset is what should be taught in schools. How can I be entrepreneur? Not later in life where you're thinking, my goodness, you're relying on this job that might not be around for a long time. The company might shut down. You might get fired. So the idea of us working to be employed is a backwards mentality. We have to be able to think outside of the box. And you can tell I'm passionate about this, because after seeing the kids at Almost Showground, and especially when so many schools that were invited to come and see, it was important. I saw so many young girls. A friend of mine doing bracelets now.
Bracelets, so she's earning some good money.
Earning money. I mean, you make your bracelets and you make some profit off of that. But the idea that people are now starting to see business as a viable option for the youth is an important one. Business wasn't something that was looked up on. Business was almost like for a specific type of person.
Type of
people that are not educated, that have to think outside the box. But those are the people that are making money. A lot of the business owners now are not as educated as you think.
Okay.
They're not as educated as you think. Many of them stopped in S6.
Absolutely. And they employ PhD holders.
And now they're employing PhD holders. I know this firsthand. It's a backwards mentality to only think of a youth where we're only working to be employed, as opposed to working to expand. To employ others.
All right, now, just to add on that, what Goodwin just said, okay, we'll be taking a look at what are the causes of the youth unemployment in general. But of course, now this brings us back to the report of what has led to the doubling of the youth unemployment. Of course, it has already been there, but now it doubled. Now, some of the factors the report states here is the COVID-19 pandemic, which had a devastating impact on the Ugandan economy. And we see that quite a number of people lost jobs and business closures were experienced. And this it kind of affected the young people who are more likely to be employed in the informal and low-paying jobs at the same time, because till date, some companies are actually still recovering, and some of the aspects of recovery includes laying off of the workers. So they are not yet back to the full force that they had before the COVID-19 pandemic, right?
Interesting. And another issue, of course, is you talked about mismatch, right?
Mismatch.
There's also gender inequality. It's such a huge problem still, right?
Yeah.
So young women are particularly disadvantaged in the Ugandan labor market. They are more likely to be unemployed than young men, and they are also more likely to be employed in low-paying and informal jobs. Because people still have that mentality that if you're a girl, do you have enough skill, or you're about to get married. I actually know this from a former employer who was I know when I employ young women, I worry that because they're in their child-bearing years, they're about to get married. I can't rely on them to stay the long haul. There are actually jobs that will ask you, are you married, for that reason? Do you have children, for that reason? So if you're a girl and you're not yet married, and you say 22, 23, 24, they're thinking, is this person going to be with us?
With us for some time.
For a long time, or she's going to take a lot of breaks, she's going to get married off. So it's almost tricky. So you find for the women, they almost have to be a little older to be employed, where their kids are older.
They're already settled.
They're settled. Yeah. So when they're younger, it's much harder, because they're thinking, this person is going to be a liability 2 years coming down the road, and then you have to almost pay them leave.
Exactly.
We have to pay them for that leave when they get pregnant. Exactly. So those are all factors that employers obviously have at the back of their head, which is what creates that inequality, right? The disparity in employment levels.
All right, now, of course, the Ugandan government is facing a number of challenges that is in addressing the youth unemployment. But of course, however, it's important to note that the government is committed, that is, to addressing this issue, and has undertaken a number of steps to do so. And it is also important for all the stakeholders to work together and create jobs and opportunities for the young people in Uganda. But definitely, as we proceed on the show, we shall be taking a look at what are those measures that should be undertaken by the government to ensure that, at least, of course, we cannot eliminate entirely unemployment, but at least we can reduce the impact and the damages it can cause. Well, and it's exactly now 23 minutes past 8. Smart Means Business, Andrew Barije here with Godwin, and we are driving you through all the way up to 9:50. But of course, still to remind you that these amazing discussions are probably brought to you by Zabo, which is a platform from Altex. And this just made your trading experience much more easy and friendly. Now, with this, you can be able to buy bonds and securities for a fee of just 15,000 Ugandan shillings as you can participate in that. Now, the markets open at 8:15. As I speak right now, they're already in operation, so you can participate just 9 minutes ago. And now they will be expected to run up to 3:15 p.m. That is East African time. This is effective Monday up to Friday, apart from the weekends and the public holidays when these markets cannot be accessed. But like I always tell you that that's not the big deal. At least we have the rest of the days to capitalize and make money, something which I believe is quite key and important when it comes to your financial growth and development. Zaba made this a reality for you, and that's why it tells you boldly that it's your money, it's your future. And Altex East Africa tells you that, well, you need to do something new for yourself. Remember, it is 2023. Well, at this point in time, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, business in sports.